Today we're going to look at the Jackery Explorer 1000 with the Solar Saga 200 watt solar panel. What's up everybody? Welcome to Freely Roaming. My name is Dan. So I've reviewed a handful of power stations in the past, and some of them are quite compact, and that's kind of the trend these days, to have a lot of power packed into a small space. In the past, big power stations that output in excess of 1,000 watts of inverter output or has over 1,000 watt hours of capacity have generally been on the large size. There's much bigger ones than that. In fact, there are ones that require a dolly wheel to be able to carry that around, but technology has advanced to the point where a mid-size power station can now be used for lots of things that were not possible in the past. And that's what today's power station I'm going to show you guys is all about. This is the Jackery Explorer 1000. The Jackery Explorer 1000, as the name suggests, has about 1,000 watt hours of capacity. Specifically, it has 1,070 watt hours of capacity in a form of lithium iron phosphate batteries. It has a 1,500 watt built-in pure sine wave inverter with surge up to 3,000 watts. It also has a built-in uninterruptible power supply feature that has sub 20 millisecond switch between the power from the outlet to the power from the inverter. Now, before I give you guys more specs, let me give you a closer look at what this package comes with. Alright, so I've got it laid out here in front of my truck. We have the power station itself, the Jackery Explorer 1000. As you can see, it is a mid-sized power station, but with the modern technology that we have today, it has a lot more capability than a product like this had in the past. Namely, it has a 1,500 watt pure sine wave inverter, has 3 USB-C ports, 12 volt 10 amp outlet, that's pretty standard. You have 4 switches in the front. One turns the inverter off and on, one turns the DC outlets off and on, one turns the light on, has 3 settings: regular light, bright light, and the SOS light that nobody has ever used. Turn that off. And also, as you can see, you have a nice LCD display that shows you everything that is happening between the output, the input, and the state of charge. Also, there's some icons. These icons show you some of the different statuses that this power station can be in. And for those of you that have had Jackeries in the past, you know that they used to have this form factor where there was a handle on the top, and that was not a handle that could be folded down, which I've always thought took up a lot of extra space that was unnecessary. So I'm happy to see that they made this a tuck away handle. And let's see, in the back there's just a label that gives you some specs. On the side, this side just some ventilation slots for airflow to be able to pass through. And then the opposite side, ventilation slot, AC plug, and also 2 DC 80/20 inputs. So this is where you would charge your power station. And unlike other power stations that just come with your generic black power cable, Jackery has gone all out with their branding with the orange cable. And this is actually a really nice quality cable. Probably the nicest quality AC outlet, AC cable I've ever seen. Not that it makes a huge difference, but the fact that they go the extra mile to make this nicely branded is pretty impressive. And also here, this is the cable that comes with a solar panel, which is right there. That's the Solar Saga 200 watt solar panel. And for a panel that has 200 watts capacity, it is actually very compact. I'll show you that in a second. It comes with this cable, which is also very nice. It has their kind of proprietary plug here that goes into the solar panel. And in the middle, a little device that has a USB-C and a USB-A output, and also an LED indicator to show you that power is coming in. And on the end here, there are 2 different plugs. This is the DC 80/20 plug that goes into here, either one. You can have up to 2 200 watt solar panels that plug into this Jackery Explorer 1000. But the reason why there is this kind of adapter is that I believe there are some older power stations that uses a slightly different size plug, so that's why that's there, so that this solar panel can be compatible with older power stations as well. And here, let me show you the construction of this solar panel. It's actually very, very nice. I'm very impressed by this. We've got a couple of cooking vessels here that I'm going to use to demo this power station a little bit. And here we have the 200 watt, and they just fold. It goes really compact, and there's a magnet here. When you close it, they stick to each other. And here, there's these little buttons, little snaps. They help it close and holds it together. So there, you have a very compact 200 watt portable panel. Let's show you some specs right here. Solar Saga model JS-200D, 24.4 open circuit voltage, 11.2 short circuit current. Power voltage is 20 volts. Power current 10 amps. Maximum solar voltage 60 volts. Maximum reverse current 15 amps. And there's all the certifications and some warnings. It is charging the Jackery Explorer 1000 right now at, I don't know if you can see this, 180 watts, which is pretty good given that it's late-ish afternoon sun. It's a 200 watt panel outputting right now 180. It's pretty good. There's this little indicator right here that helps you aim. You see that dot? You want that dot to be right in the middle, the shadow of that dot to be right in the middle of that target in the back. That'll give you the best output. But even though you can see it's not perfect, it's still outputting 90% of its rated capacity. That's the Jackery Explorer 1000 V2 with the Solar Saga 200 solar panel. Alright, so what exactly can you power with this Jackery Explorer 1000? You can power a portable fridge that uses about 60 watts with about a 25% duty cycle for 2 to 3 days. You can power an induction cooktop at 1000 watts for an hour, or you can power, in our situation, a Starlink Mini, which uses 25 watts average. That'll run it for 40 hours. So that's pretty impressive. To recharge, you use this AC plug that'll recharge this power station completely back up in 1.7 hours. And using the solar panel, it'll take 7.5 hours of solar charge at max capacity, max output. You can also plug in a car charger, which it doesn't come with. That'll take 12 hours. It weighs in at 23.8 pounds, and it does have an AC bypass mode up to 1500 watts. It means that you can draw 1500 watts through these outlets when this is plugged in to the wall, and it won't use the battery that's built into the Jackery. It'll actually pass through the system from your shore power, and it'll come out this way. And if the shore power, if the house power were to go out, it will switch automatically to using the battery in sub 20 milliseconds. It has a 3-year standard warranty plus a 2-year extended warranty if you purchase it directly from Jackery. But I'm also going to show you just exactly what this can run in a practical situation, because these power stations are so powerful now, you can actually use this for cooking. So I'm going to show you this Jackery in conjunction with a couple of my cooking vessels over there to show you how quickly and how much power this uses to boil water. All right, here's my electric kettle / coffee maker. It is a French press coffee maker that heats using electricity through AC power. By the way, if you're interested, this is by Stoke Voltaic. Really great device to pair with a Jackery Explorer 1000. It uses about 500 watts to boil water, which we're going to be able to do right now. We're going to count just exactly how long it takes to boil 16 ounces of room temperature water using the Jackery Explorer 1000. So I'm going to go ahead and start that and also start the timer. Boom, boom. Okay. So, as you can tell right away, it is now pulling 480 watts. And at this rate, with this capacity, we should be able to run it for 1.9 hours, almost 2 hours. There's the output for you. Went down to 88%. Here's the kettle, 16 ounces of water. I have it set at the drink setting. This thing also does popcorn, which is pretty cool. All right, we will go ahead and see just exactly how long this takes to boil. All right, we're about 2 minutes in. There's a lot of activity going on here. You can see that 208. We got some sounds coming out of here. Lots and lots of bubbles already forming. Still running at 479 watts. And it's down to about 87%. Or a couple percent down already. In the 2 minutes and 30 seconds we've been doing this. We're also doing this outside, which in the shade too, so it's a little bit cooler than you would be if you were cooking inside. But I can tell that this is going to boil really soon, in no time here. 4 minutes in, let's see how we're doing. We're down to 85%. On the verge of boiling. And the Jackery is not even breaking a sweat. The fan hasn't even kicked on. Running at 500 watts, roughly, output. It is not even getting hot where it needs to kick on the fan. A little bit of breeze. I suspect right around the 5-minute mark is when this is going to be a full-on boil. Alright, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Steam coming out. Really close to boiling. 84%, so we've used about 5% of this battery's capacity in boiling this 16 ounces of water. We're approaching the 5 minute and 30 second mark. Let's see if we can get this to go under 6 minutes. I mean, that is basically boiling, right? What do you guys think? Steam, lots of activity. I call that a rolling boil. There it is. I'm gonna call it stop. 5 minutes, 52 seconds. I'm turning it off. Rolling boil. We use about 5% of the Jackery's capacity to boil 16 ounces of water. Okay, so here's the next thing we're going to do. We're going to boil about double the water in an electric kettle, or an electric pot rather, like this one. This is about 1 liter of water, which is about 34 ounces, whereas before we're doing 16 ounces, so a little bit more than double the water we had before, but except we're going to use this kettle, which can run upwards of 1,000 watts. So let's go ahead and turn that on. 200 watt. Let's dial it up to 1,000 watts. It's got its own little built-in timer, but I'll go ahead and set the timer here anyways. Except this time we're going to close the lid and we'll see how long it takes for it to boil. We're still doing this outside, so still sort of, a test for its capability in the outdoors. And right away, let's see. We've got the Jackery pulling 964 watts. At this rate, it'll run it for almost an hour. 30 seconds in. That's the built-in timer and watt draw. 1 liter of water. Boiling using the electricity stored in this Jackery Explorer 1000. A bit over 2 minutes. Let's see where we're at. 2 minutes and 19 seconds. We're down to about 80%. Lots of bubbles forming in our liter of water. Put the lid back on. So this is drawing the battery down much quicker, but again, we're pulling twice the power. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 38, 39. So we show that we can boil 16 ounces of water with my coffee kettle. I'll get you set up for coffee. And to boil a liter of water, that should be able to rehydrate a couple of dehydrated pouches of camping food. So this setup right here is your portable kitchen that you can take with you anywhere you go. And then along with that Solar Saga 200 watt solar panel, you can essentially be out there indefinitely as long as there's sun to replenish this. Because we're 3 minutes and 17 seconds in, we've only used about 11% of the battery capacity. And we got this pot of water well on its way to boiling. Okay, at 5 minute mark, let me show you. We're at 75%. If I just stop talking for a second, you can hear the fan. It's not loud at all. In fact, I don't even know if this is the fastest the fan can go because it's just barely a hum. 5 minutes, almost 30 seconds. We've got some steam coming out. Lots of bubbles trying to escape. I'd say in 1 more minute we're gonna have a full boil. Okay, 6 minutes and 30 seconds. It's been about another minute. Let's see where we're at. We're at 63%. That means we've used 16% of the battery capacity. We got all kinds of activity in there. Bubbles trying to escape. Still pulling. 957 watts. Not even breaking a sweat. Taking a little bit longer to boil a bit more than double the amount of water, which seems about right. There's also more metallic surface for heat to escape versus that little coffee kettle there is insulated. So that explains why it's taking more for this to come to a rolling boil. But it's about to happen. Let me just take this lid off so you'll see it when it boils. Alright, we're at 69%, so we used 20% of the battery capacity. Almost 9 minutes. How's our water doing? That is essentially a rolling boil. So we'll call this a 9 minute. We'll go ahead and stop it. It's a 9 minute rolling boil of a liter of water using the Jackery Explorer 1000. So there you go. That's a quick little overview and review of how this Jackery Explorer 1000 can do. And I'm really impressed by this guy. As you can see, it's got some heft, but it's not impossible for just about anybody to carry this around. And again, I like that they have this carry handle now that's foldable, so it's not just always taking up space. And in conjunction with that 200 watt solar panel, this can be a really nice companion for your next camping trip. So camping using electricity has come a long way since people started using hot plates. Now we have induction cooking. We have these dedicated cooking vessels like the ones I demonstrated here with the Jackery Explorer 1000 with lithium iron phosphate batteries, solar panels, and powerful devices like this power station. You should be able to spend the whole weekend cooking using only electricity. So who do I think the Jackery Explorer 1000 is for? First of all, it's for car campers. A lot of car campers don't want to carry propane with them if they don't have to. And if you're using essentially a propane stove to just heat up water, to make coffee, to rehydrate dehydrated food, it is really a no-brainer to just cook with electricity. But if you're still cooking with things like an Instant Pot, which can draw upwards of 2,000 watts, and it can draw that much power for an extended amount of time, it is probably not quite ready for you. You can make things like pancakes, bacon and eggs, things that don't require a long time of cooking using electric cooking vessels. But if you want to do things like stews, slow cook, things that require a long time of cooking via electricity might not quite be ready for you yet. But this Jackery is also great for someone who just wants a small home backup system. Maybe you don't have to back up a lot of things. You want to just keep things like your internet going. You want to keep your TV running so you can look at the news. You want to keep your phones charged, your tablets charged. You have a small fridge with some essentials that you want to keep running. You can do all of that with a power station about this size for a small home. You can also use it for small job sites, especially if you're using battery power tools. You can use this to charge all of your batteries as you work on a project. For a power station this size, even as near as 2 years ago, would have cost you close to $1,000. This Jackery right now can be bought on their website for $499. And if you want the solar panel, that sells separately for $479. But if you buy them together as a bundle, you get a $79 discount. You can get both for $899. So essentially, for what it used to cost just a power station alone a couple of years ago, you can now get one that comes with a 200-watt solar panel. So there you go. That's the Jackery Explorer 1000 V2 with the 200-watt solar Saga solar panel. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.